Today, you will get to know my friend Krishna and his data story of how he went from an Indian engineer technical worker to a Canadian data analyst in less than 100 days. You'll hear Krishna struggles to apply to hundreds of jobs and get no replies. You'll hear him apply to this company that he eventually will land a job with 4 different times, and what the difference was at the 4th, a portfolio and networking, which are key parts of the SBN method, which is the best way you can land any data job. Skills, portfolio, and network. You need all 3. I can't wait for you to hear Krishna's story of an Indian immigrant moving to North America and how he has made it as a data analyst.
Welcome to the Data Career Podcast, the podcast that helps aspiring data professionals land their next data job. Here's your host, Avery Smith.
So, Krishna, congratulations on your new job. What is exactly your new title? Is it data visualization analyst or data imaging analyst?
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So, yeah, it's not entirely data analyst. There is a word in between. It's data imaging analyst. So I'll be dealing with a lot of images, especially ultrasound images. And I'll be turning those numbers into 3D images. So that's what I do. Basically, I am working with this great company, amazing company, where they deploy their sensors, get the ultrasound data, and I'll turn them into images and see where the problem is. So I solve problems. I love solving problems. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm excited. So I'm going to use proprietary software as well as MATLAB.
That's so exciting. So it's so fascinating to me because, one of the things I like to talk about in the data analytics world is there's so many different job titles. And your job
Yeah.
title is pretty unique. Data, I can never even remember it, data imaging analyst, which is one you don't hear
Yes.
a whole lot about. But basically what you'll be doing, like you said, is there's these different sensors that are able to, take pictures of things underground, because you'll be working for an oil and gas or some sort
Right.
of energy company, right? Which has to look at things under
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
ground and look at those images, turn those images into numbers, and then crunch those numbers to find anything of interest, abnormalities, or there is energy here, there is oil here, or there's not. Those
Right.
types of
Yeah.
things. That's kind of what your role will be down the road, right?
Yes, exactly. I don't want to dive into technical jargon, but it's like finding any pitfalls in that pipe that we put in place so that we can get oil and gas out of it. So basically, there are a lot of technical terms such as corrosion, pipeline bends for jobs that we do to create channels for fluids to flow to the service. So basically, we identify any pitfalls, any equipment failure that will cost us a lot in the coming years. If I look at numbers, it's like an oil well when we deploy all kinds of equipment down there, which we don't know what's going to happen over like 2 or 3 decades. So the equipment will last for 5 to 10 years. So over the years, they deplete, they corrode. So we identify what's happening down there. Use there's different kinds of sensors and imaging technologies.
That
So we get everything in numbers. We turn them into 3D images. So that's what I'm going to do. Analyze those numbers and put them in front of my clients. So if I give numbers, like you said in your coursework, numbers don't mean anything unless you turn them into visuals. So yeah, that's what I'm exactly going to do. Turn them into visuals and let them know what's happening down there, what they can do in the future.
It's super fascinating because, yeah, when you're working with stuff under the ground, you can't see it, right? And so
No,
you're basically giving this company the ability to see things underground, really
exactly.
impactful.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. Because back in 1980s, 1970s, we don't have anything to see what's happening down there. Not right now, we barely touch that, kind of technology where you use simple physics and we can see stuff that's happening down there. So I think we have that kind of technology in medical and nanotechnology. You have ultrasound images in medicine, what we want to use that same kind of technology we deploy down there, probably 3 to 4 kilometers from the surface, all the way to the subsurface. And you get those numbers through a conduit and kind of wireline, kind of fluids and stuff. And we turn that into numbers and we decode those signals and try to get an image out of it. So yeah, it's super fascinating. And I'm thankful to work with this company with that kind of technology. So they are the pioneer. So I work for Dark Vision. Basically, that's the company. So I'm working for. So I'm going to work for. I haven't started yet, but yeah, I'm excited, super excited to start my work over there.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. Let's give the listeners a little background on you because we've been talking about, your new role, which is that data imaging analyst, and how you're going to be seeing
Yes.
things under the ground, especially for like pipelines and fluids and energy and oil and gas and stuff like that. And that's kind of your background, right? You've basically worked in the oil and gas field. You got a degree in natural gas engineering. You got a degree in petroleum engineering, so you've done a lot of really cool things with this in the past, but you've kind of jumped over from place to place because you did your bachelor's in India, you did your master's in the US, but then you moved back to India, and now you're living in Canada, and this is your first job in Canada. So do you mind just giving people kind of a background for what you've been doing over the last few years?
Anyone who asks me that question is, I kind of feel like an adventure genre, a journey, adventurous one, because I was very fascinated with geology and geography back when I was in school. So I tried to pursue that kind of enthusiasm all the way through, so I started my bachelor's in petroleum engineering from Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University in Hyderabad. That is the southern peninsula region of India. And from there, I decided that to get master's, further my education or academics, try to dive into advanced studies. So I pursued master's in natural gas engineering. Then, as soon as I got my graduation, I started working with an amazing oil and gas service company in Texas. And what they do is the same thing, deploy all kinds of sensors down there, identify hydrocarbon that drives the whole world today. So it was a great experience. So one of the perks of working in the oil and gas industry is that you will get an amazing interaction with wildlife and this beauty of planet Earth. So you'll deal with a lot of formation. So I met one of the stories that I love is from geologists. So we have well site geologists that study all kinds of formations and rocks. And one well site geologist was collecting all kinds of germs, all kinds of rocks. So he showed his collection of rocks. So it was like collection of diamonds. So I'm always fascinated with those kinds of rocks down there. I'm kind of a geeky guy when it comes to rocks and hydrocarbons. So you can count on that. And then some circumstances arose in such a way where I had to move back to India. But my employer, my company said, like you can work over there. They do have operations going on down there in India as well. So I joined them again and was working in India. I always had a dream to work in offshore platforms where you go in the middle of nowhere in the ocean and do the engineering stuff and find different kinds of, like formations, explore them, and then, bring them to the surface using different kinds of engineering and engineering techniques. So I was so glad working in onshore and offshore projects. So that was my dream come true, like working on offshore projects. And then I worked for 4 years in India. Then I moved to Canada because I got permanent residency of Canada, which is a great opportunity for me to explore enhance my skills and explore different parts of the world. So it jumped like a triangle, like I started off from India, then moved to United States, then again came to India, then moved to Canada. So it's like a journey. So I never had any regrets regarding that. And right now, after coming to Canada, I was trying to figure out how to, organize things in my life. It's a new head start for me from the scratch. I don't have immediate family that I can rely on. So I'm totally a new guy in the aisle trying to figure out things. Then somewhere in the middle of this journey, I realized that I love coding. In bachelor's, I didn't like coding. But as soon as I realized where my skills are when I was working in the offshore and onshore projects in oil and gas, field, I realized that I love turning numbers into visuals using different techniques that we have a new word called data science. So uh, I got very interested in data science. So then I realized like, okay, what are the options do I have at that point? Then I tried reaching out to you. That's when I realized, okay, Avery Smith, a guy that I knew back in 2018, since 2018, I've been following you. So I realized,
Wow.
okay, Avery has his own coursework and own company. So, okay, let me get down to that. Then I think we had 2 or 3 calls before I joined Data Career Jumpstart. haven't we? So I was like, okay. Then you told me where I was lacking. So that was an enlightenment for me. Like, okay, I might have all these skills, but this is where I was lacking. A good structure a good organized way of portfolio. Like it helped me a lot. It helped me through the job and through this job as well. So I'm so happy that I'm part of your company. I'm part of your coursework and community data science. And I was like, okay, this working so far so good. Then I got a job after 6 months coming to Canada. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. Yeah.
So yeah, Krishna, like he said, bounced around from US to India to Canada. He'd been living in Canada for 6 months. It took him about 102 days from when he joined the data analytics accelerator to when he landed this first job. As someone who just immigrated from India to Canada, you're working for this really cool company, and you had tried applying there before, right? That's one of the things I really admire about Krishna. Krishna, can you
Yes.
tell them the story of your applications with this company?
So it was a long process, but I enjoyed all through the process. When I was searching for the companies that I wanted to work for, like you said, like it's better to narrow down the companies and then try for them. So I researched their expertise, their way of using technology to, you know, improve the quality of life in the world. So I tried those kinds of companies, especially. Then I searched them on the LinkedIn. Then I came across Dark Vision, and I really went through their websites, their team, and then I realized, okay, this is very much, uh, very much close to what I want to do in life. And they are in oil and gas as well, which I don't want to completely shift. That's why when people ask me, like, you are completely moving to information technology, IT industry, like away from your core expertise. I was like, no, I wouldn't say that. So I would rather say like I'm integrating my technical degree with data science. And it's not an entire shift, but like an integration. Like it's a bonus. It's a beautiful combo when you use your technical skills with data science. That's amazing way to put it. I'm not entirely shifting. I'm still in oil and gas, but I'm also using data science to solve different kinds of engineering problems. So that's what I love to do.
I
And
Sorry, I think that's really important to highlight because, like, a lot of people, when they don't like their job, they obviously want to leave their job. But the cool thing is not necessarily that they don't like their industry. It's might they just don't love that particular position. And so what you did was kind of
yes,
merge, oh, I love data, I love energy, I love petroleum, I love geophysics and stuff like that. Let's combine them. And I think one,
yes,
that makes it more enjoyable for you. But two, it makes it easier for you to land a job because you might not have all the data experience in the world, but you have a lot of petrophysics experience. So when
yes,
you merge the two, it makes you a stronger candidate. So anyone listening, if you can merge, data with whatever you do right now, that's going to give you a big advantage. So sorry to interrupt. I just
totally.
wanted to highlight that.
I agree with what you have said. So yeah, it's totally that how it went for me. So then I realized, okay, let me see if they have any openings. Let me see if Dark Vision has those kinds of openings. I realized they had a lot of openings. They had data imaging analysts, data team lead, all kinds of different openings that they are working with in a specific aspect of oil and gas. They are not restricted in oil and gas. They do have all different kinds of projects elsewhere in the world. And I was specifically interested in oil and gas field. So I applied for them, and then I reached Canada on October 31st, back in November 2023. And I applied for them in November last week of November, I guess, last year. And I got immediate rejection. I was like, okay. Most of the time they're automated emails. I realized that. Then I figured out, okay, let me apply for another position because I really wanted to apply for the company. And I realized, okay, this is where I want to be. And I realized like what skills I have and what skills I need to get that position. Then I worked my way out. So I had a makeshift kind of portfolio sitting in my laptop, but I never had, out there on LinkedIn and stuff. Then I applied for one more position with Dark Vision, and they looked at my resume and they scheduled an interview. It was first stage. And I realized that I have to prepare well. I have to showcase my skills. I have my resume on my laptop, my all kinds of projects that I did on my laptop. and they looked at my resume and asked me questions. But at the end of the day, I got rejected again. And then December realized, okay, where I was lacking, I couldn't figure it out. Then on LinkedIn, I came across your post. Then, okay, let me have a word with Avery, what he says. Then probably December ending or January first week, we had a one-on-one call. I remember January first week, we had a call. And by the time before I hopped on a data accelerator program, I was applying for a lot of companies, a lot of different companies, including Dark Vision, but I was getting a lot of rejections, but that didn't pull me down. So I had to like be motivated and stay hopeful because it's funny. The irony is that I was in this situation 5 years ago when I got my graduation. I realized I applied like 700 jobs, and out of 700 jobs, I got one offer letter, and remaining rest of the applications were either pending or rejections. So I had to stay motivated and try different kinds of projects, use data, stay updated with the current technologies, current aspects in the industry. I did the same in 2023 as well. So that's what I did back then and try to correct them last year, this time when I'm again in the job market. So I had a call with you one on one. Then I realized, okay, this is what Avery's saying. So I might have all my project on the laptop, but I don't know what they're doing, like he said. So let me put it out there. So I didn't have a format how to do that. So then I looked at your website, I looked at your courseworks. Then I realized, okay, there is an opportunity where I can hop on like an example class. I don't know how you call it. It's like it's a freshers class. I can just hop on the class and see how things are going on, how the community is within your program. So I realized it's superb. Then I immediately joined. Once I had everything figured out, your SPN method, I realized, okay, this is how I should have done back then, which I evidently didn't do it properly. And this time I applied for Dark Vision the third time, and I got rejected again with Dark Vision. And then when I had a strong portfolio, when I have a refined LinkedIn profile, and then I realized I started applying for different kinds of companies. I had two offer letters, one from Dark Vision and one very recently. So I already signed my offer letter with Dark Vision. So I rejected the other one. And when I applied for Dark Vision, I immediately got a response from a recruiter saying that you're moving with stay or round one of the interview. And I tailored my resume based on your SPN method and the way that you have, portrayed the way that a resume should look and the way that a LinkedIn should look when you want to kind of jump or integrate into data science. So I realized that I should do this. Then I did that, and everything paid off very well. And I got the interview in April 6th, to be exact, April 6th of 2024. So from January till April, I was preparing myself. I didn't stop applying. Obviously, I was applying to different kinds of jobs in the whole Canada, and at the same time, I was refining my portfolio, refining my improving my LinkedIn profile, improving my skills in data analytics and data science. So by the end of March, I had a good amount of strong portfolio, good amount of, number of projects in that portfolio. Then I have a great profile on LinkedIn where I could showcase my skills, what I've done, what I'm doing. And then I have uh, a good circle, to be honest, because when I was going through your coursework, I realized it's not just about making a resume and building your LinkedIn profile. I realized I have to talk to different kinds. So I started networking. Networking was an important role in the whole process of me getting a job. I tried to reach out to different kinds of people working in different kinds of expertise. So when I was doing networking, I realized that I can do either cold messages on networking or on LinkedIn, or I can ask them a step further to get on coffee chats. So I did both actually. So this helped me in the process of dark vision hiring as well. So basically, when I had to like come out of that imposter syndrome. Yeah, like said that what people would think, what people. How. would react to my projects and all of that. So I had to really get over that imposter syndrome and work on my skills and interpersonal skills. So I did 3 coffee chats. We talked about a lot of different things in data science and a lot of different skills that I need to have. And all those, if I put it together, that helped me to prepare for Dark Vision interview as well. So that's my fourth application with Dark Vision. I was very persistent, and then I finally got the job. And the hiring process was um, simple, not tedious, but they explored all aspects. They did everything. They asked about everything that I did and everything that regarding my background, regarding my education, and regarding skills, how I fit with that within that company. So yeah, it was a huge and important journey in my career. So, and it's my fourth application, to be honest. So I got my job after fourth application. So it was a huge achievement.
I want to rehash here that you applied. So, one of the things that we talk about on this podcast in the boot camp is the difference between the spray and pray method and like actually like targeting companies, right? Because a lot of the times you can just like throw your resume out there to hundreds of companies and not really get any bites. And so that's one of the things that you kind of redid. You're like, okay, I'm really into this dark vision company. I like the work that they do. I think it fits my background very well. So I'm going to target there. And you applied, like you said, 3 times, I guess 2 times, got rejected, applied a third time, got an interview, got rejected. And then the fourth time, you finally landed the job. Is that correct?
Yes, entirely. So I was applying for hundreds of jobs on LinkedIn, on third parties such as Indeed. We have Glassdoor. We have for technical stuff. We had Rejections and all those kinds of online platforms where you apply for hundreds of jobs. But they didn't help me at all. So what I do was if I find a job or say on LinkedIn or Indeed or ZipRecruiter, wherever, I don't apply right there. I rather look for the name of the company, then go to their website personally, go to the website and then find that position, apply over there. So what I found is that after working for 5 years, it's like you have a preference. I don't know, I don't know how much preference you're gonna get, but there is a kind of preference for candidate creating a profile in their websites. They call it talent community, I think. And when you create a profile in their talent community, it's the recruiters of that company are highly inclined to find within their talent community and reach out to you rather than people, recruiters reaching out to LinkedIn first. So their first priority would be trying to find people in the talent community, which includes creating a profile in their website and applying through that website. So I created a profile on the company websites, then apply on LinkedIn. So I applied on both of the platforms. Apply on in their website and also apply on LinkedIn as well. So this position with Dark Vision, I found on their website. So I applied on their website first. And I don't exactly remember whether I've applied on LinkedIn, but I applied on the website. That helped me. So when I was trying to apply on their website, what I really did was to find a sense of like-mindedness, like whether I fit with the company and how I can bring my skills to the table and help them. So I had to like really get down or what I had done and what I'm doing, how my skills can help them. And
And what do you think made the
so,
difference between the first 3 applications and the fourth? Like, why did you actually get a better look on the fourth one?
oh, my profile. So basically things that I changed in the fourth by the third application or fourth application is that my resume and the way I network with people on LinkedIn or other platforms. So basically before my third application, I didn't have a good portfolio. That's number one. Number two is that I am active on LinkedIn way before that as well. I used to comment, I used to create posts if you look at my LinkedIn profile, but never what making conversation in one-on-one chats or cold messaging. I was never into that. So networking and cold messaging were one of the top things that I did by the time I got this job. Like probably third or fourth applications. I'm talking about like February, March. Before that, I was like, okay, commenting, then, sending them simple messages to add them into my professional network and all. But by the time when I joined your program, your boot camp, I realized, okay, it's not the only thing that will help me get a job. So I realized I have to do networking, send cold messages, keep in touch with them, create a good rapport between you and the person, and engage yourself in conversations, create posts, create polls, post about what you're doing, post about what kind of skills you're learning, any certifications, all kinds of things that will keep you motivated. At the same time, will engage you and the other person in your network to start a conversation and make something new out of it. So that's what I did. Before the third and fourth applications, I was kind of, I would say, lying low. Is that a
Oh
good word,
yeah.
Avery? I don't know, because I was very under the, yeah, because I didn't participate out there on LinkedIn profiles. I didn't network enough. And since I didn't have any good, strong portfolio, my resume looked very uh, typical, pale, I should say, not eye catchy. So I had to trim that, refine my resume as well. So those are the differences. A strong portfolio, a good tailored resume, and networking. That helped me throughout the entire process after joining your bootcamp. Those are the three differences that I really valued. Right now I have a job. So now I realize, okay, these three things help me. One of the tasks that I have in my mind right now after getting a job is that I have to keep doing these three things and keep them updated and stay active on LinkedIn. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm trying to do.
That's awesome. One of the cool things about the data world is like you can always be networking and you always should be networking and you always should be improving because you never know when a company's going to have layoffs, but also it can help you within the company as well. When I first started posting on LinkedIn, I worked for ExxonMobil. I didn't really want to leave ExxonMobil at the time,
Yeah.
but posting actually really helped me inside of the company and it gave me more allies and more I guess like credibility within the company. So posting on LinkedIn is always good. So did you end up sending direct messages to people at Dark Vision, like cold messages when you were trying to go through the application process?
Yes, totally. Yes. Because there is so much information on their website, but I really wanted to talk with the person who are working in that company. So I reached out to 3 to 4 technical professions who are working in the same position or in that company, Dark Vision. And I talked to them and I realized, okay, I asked a few questions that I really wanted to know. I asked a couple of questions such as, okay, hi, you're working in this company. So you have been working in this company for a few years. What did you like the most about this company? If I'm, so I told them honestly that I'm giving an interview with this company in this position. So do you have any suggestions? What would be the interview process? And so I researched a lot about Dark Vision before I got hired, and as well as they did a lot of research on me as well before I got hired. It's kind of like two straight. So I asked them different kinds of questions. I talked to them. I connected with them on LinkedIn as well. And one of the few things is that they all had portfolios as well. They had their own specific website, and they had a channel where they could attract like-minded people. At the same time, they can improve their network as well. So that's what I did, thanks to you. And I realized that, okay, this is helping me a lot. Then I reached out to uh, different kinds of, I think I reached out to a couple of managers in that company as well. Uh, and then connected with them and asked them like simple basic questions regarding the interview process. And I got my ideas how to prepare for that interview. It helped me a
That's
lot.
just to kind of recap here. Like you I mean, when you're switching countries, it's always hard to land a job in that new country. So to go from India to Canada and to land this job, the things that I think you did exceptionally well is you didn't do the spray and pray method, right? You really tailored on certain companies. You created a really beautiful portfolio. If you guys haven't seen Krishna's portfolio, we'll link it in the show notes. But Krishna has a very strong portfolio with very strong projects. And then you were networking. You were sending cold messages. You were posting and commenting on LinkedIn and trying to genuinely create and foster relationships. And so, really, that's like the P and the N
Yes.
of the SPN method. And you really honed in on those. And it sounds like that's what made the difference between getting the auto rejection from the computer to ultimately getting an interview and then the offer in the end is really that P in the end part of the SBN method.
Yes, totally, totally, exactly. Well, basically, when I was building my portfolio, I realized that okay, these projects now they're on my website, they're out there. I have to make sure my professional network knows what I'm doing. So I realized that okay, it's not just about putting your portfolio on the wall of on your LinkedIn wall. To make sure the people look at your work, I have to post it. That's one way. Post it on LinkedIn. Post. I know I did a lot of projects, but no one knows what I did unless I post it. I tell them, okay, here's the project. Here are the skills that I am working on or I worked on. And then once I posted, one of the first things that happened is that some other persons have worked on that kind of topics and they commented on my, post as well. And then that's one way to attract different people who worked on such topics and have such kind of skills. And then I connected with them. And then, it's not just sending a request to add them into your professional network. I looked at their profiles and, changed my script of cold messaging and then specifically send them and showing interest to have a chat, have a conversation with them and staying in touch with them. So I didn't just post it. I realized I have to write an articles as well on LinkedIn, which helped me a lot. So writing articles on LinkedIn helped me in job search. Very specific because when people comment on your articles, I look at their profiles and where they're working, and that also helped me to find amazing companies, which usually you won't be able to find on just Googling stuff or finding on third-party websites such as or Indeed or other websites. So networking helped me a lot, and regarding the tailoring your resumes, it was very hard because a time occurred where I forgot the number of my resume because I created a lot of resumes for a lot of positions, changed my projects, changed the entire sentences, formats of resume. So I had to like rename one resume over the other. So I lost track at one point. So I realized, okay, tailoring your resume is important, but not that much. So I try to stick with one format and then use the P and N more to get the job done. So it helped me a lot.
Well, a
Yeah.
job well done. You did very excellent. You did a great job with the SBN method and was able to land that first data job in 102 days. So Krishna, thank you so much for sharing your story with us and telling us, the journey of, being in geophysics to switching countries to switching countries to switching countries to landing a job in Canada as this data imaging analyst. We're looking forward to following your story. We're going to follow you on LinkedIn and see all your updates and posts about how your new job is and how the future goes.
Surely. Thank you so much, Avery. Thank you once again. You motivated me to pursue my, dreams and stuff. So I'm really happy for that. And I'm really happy to have followed you. And I'm super excited to be part of the AA community. And yeah, this is a great head start for me to start my career in Canada. And this is my first job in data science. I'm super excited and enthusiastic to start my work. I haven't started yet. Next week, it's my day. So I'm very excited to begin
I'm
my work. Yeah. Thank you.
If you're like Krishna and you want to leave your field and become a data analyst, be sure to check out the show notes to find all of the useful resources that we have available to you. We'd love to have you take a look at any of those, and they will all help you get one step closer to your data analyst journey. Thank you guys, as always, for listening.